All right, we just want to do a brief introduction on the boat, cover some of the basics to get everybody familiar with it before you get an opportunity to get out and actually get your hands on it. Starting here at the front of the boat, we have the rescue step, and it works pretty simple. It'll just fold down, drop down into the water. We can't drop it all the way because of the trailer, but it'll drop down into the water. These rubber feet will rest right on the bow of the boat. This makes it easy for ingress and egress in and out of the water for our rescuers and also for victims. It does come with two poles that are mounted right here on the side of the boat that will assist you in lifting this step up if you have a person on it. The poles go right in these receiver tubes. Then you'll have a person on each side. You'll just lift up on the tubes, which will bring the step out of the water and allow you to slide either a backboard or a Stokes basket from the flat position, eventually rotate it up, and then it will slide on those poles up into the boat. If you want, this can be removed by just sliding it out of the receiver tubes here, but as a general rule, we'll probably just keep it on the boat. So that's going to be how that step works. Like I said, the poles for the step are mounted right here on the side in Velcro straps, very easy to access and easy to use. We'll just kind of work our way around. The seats have storage under each seat. It's just a simple pin that you pull out. The lid will open up. And that is typically what you will find in there. Some PFDs, some rope, some buoy markers. We also just purchased an extendable hook that will eventually be mounted in here for retrieval of anything that we may need to grab, a body or a victim, or assist us in a rescue. We do have a lightweight rubberized anchor that will be in the boat to help maintain position in the water. This seat opens just the same as the other one. Again, some PFDs, some dock bumpers for securing us to a dock or another boat if that were applicable to what we were doing. As you come around here, we have a battery switch. When you look at that, you will see the numbers 1, 2, and both. Run it on either 1 or 2, it doesn't matter which one, just not on both. The idea being, in the event one battery would go dead, you would still have a good battery. Speaking of the batteries, they're stored on either side of the engine, along with a bilge pump down in the wells. As we work our way around back to the rack, we have some work lights that are pivotable. You can turn them pretty easily to position them on the angle that you need. This bar will also drop down by unscrewing these on either side. That will allow you to tilt that bar down out of the way if you need to, in case of low clearance. Really, our only place that may come into issue will be the river or the railroad bridge by the 48th Street Bridge there. We have gone under it already with this up, and we had about 4 inches of clearance between the top of the anchor light and the bottom of the bridge. That'll obviously change with the number of people in the boat and with the water level conditions on the river. So you may or may not have to lower that, so be conscious of your heights when you're working with that. As we come around this side, there is a plug here for a battery tender that'll help keep the batteries charged. So if the boat's going to be sitting for any period of time, we recommend that that stays plugged in to keep both batteries up and charged. We also now have an air horn and a can as required by the marine laws. So that'll be in here. Eventually we'll have some sort of bracket to secure that in. Fire extinguisher, courtesy of Mr. Melcy. Hanging on the fire extinguisher, you will find the keys for the various boat launches that we have access to in the township, so please make sure those are returned when not being used. As far as controls on the boat, they're pretty straightforward. There is a little clip here that if you were to fall off the boat or become somehow separated from it, it will kill the motor. So there's a little toggle switch here that has to be in the up position with this lanyard locked on it. So if that lanyard is not locked on there and that toggle is not in the up position, the boat won't start. To start it, make sure your gear selector is in neutral. There is no choke on this boat because it's a fuel injected motor. So once you're in neutral, you'll simply just turn the key and the boat should fire up pretty easily. This is a idle lever, which will allow you to increase your idle speed while sitting in neutral to let the boat warm up just a little bit. To select either forward or reverse, you have to lift up on the red handle, and then the gear selector will freely move back and forth. If that red handle is not depressed, the gear selector will not move out of the neutral position. The console here of the boat has various switches. You have your bilge pump. You have your lights, which is a dual position switch. There is one that will give you both your bow light and your anchor light. The other position will give you just the anchor light. So that is the only switch that's a dual switch. The rest of them are just simple rocker switches. You have your bilge pump. You have your interior lights, which is a red lighting, so at night it's easier on the eyes. You have the warning light for the boat. You have the work lights. And then you have the lights around the body of the boat that will illuminate the water and make it easier to see where we're operating in the dark. This one is just an accessory switch that currently does not have anything on it. This is a display that will display engine hours, RPMs, things like that. It has a toggle option where you can move back and forth between the different things, very similar to the dashes on the engines. And for the basics, that pretty much covers it. We expect everybody to get it in the water at some point, get their hands on it. We're going to try as shifts to get it in the water at least once a month on each shift between April and October, as long as the weather permits. But we want everybody to be comfortable with it, familiar with it, how it operates, what everything does, and then we'll go from there with some more training. When it comes to fueling the boat, we're going to use the recreational fuel only as opposed to a standard unleaded fuel that's available at the Campaw Corner gas station down at 60th and Whitneyville. Our state cards that are in all the trucks will work for that fuel. So you'll fill the tank there. There is a vent screw on the top of the lid here for the tank that has to be open in order for the gas to properly flow from the tank to the motor. If this vent is closed, it'll eventually create a vapor lock condition, if you will, where the fuel will not flow properly and the motor won't run properly. So make sure that that little vent screw is in the open position. The seat does tilt and fold up. It also slides back and forth with adjustments on either side. So if you do need to move the seat up or back, that's an option. When starting the motor, you'll want to squeeze this primer bulb just 2 or 3 times until the bulb becomes firm, and then you can turn the key to start it. Keep in mind that this is a 4-stroke motor, so we do not mix any oil with the gas. We just use the straight recreational fuel. The oil is internal in the engine, just like in a vehicle. If you remove this cover, there is a dipstick on this side of the motor that will allow you to check the oil, just as we do in the other vehicles when we do our vehicle checks. Anything else?
The
plugs. They're also on either side is a very simple rubber drain plug. Make sure those are in and in the locked position before the boat goes in the water. In addition to that, on the back of the boat, you will see some red plastic drain plugs. We should not have to mess with those. That's if any water were to get between the inner and outer hulls. That is an option and a way to drain that water out. That generally should not be an issue. And this also, as long as we're back here by the motor, is a jet drive, so you will notice it does not have a propeller on it like our other ones have had. And it does allow us to operate in shallower water. The one negative factor to the jet drive is your steering is not quite as reactive as it is with a regular prop motor, because it's based on the thrust in the motor. So at low speeds, your steering will be a little less sensitive than it is at higher speeds. So keep that in mind when approaching a patient or when trying to dock the boat or take the boat out of the water and load it on the trailer.
Hopefully,